With Brian Hayes and Craig Button. So, guys, after putting up a 4 spot last night, Connor McDavid is now sitting on 999 career points. Only Gretzky and Lemieux are better in points per game. So here's the question, Craig. How high is McDavid's ceiling when it comes to the greatest of all time list?
I think it's 6. I can't fathom at this point in time him getting into the top 5. Top 5, and you can, for the top 4, put them in whatever order. Howe, or Gretzky, Lemieux. I have Crosby locked in at number 5. And you consider what they all accomplished. So can Connor McDavid potentially get into that group? Potentially. But he is going to have to accomplish a lot more, significantly a lot more. You think about what Sidney Crosby has done. A point a game for 19 straight seasons during the regular season. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done. 2-time MVP in the Stanley Cup playoffs, MVP during the regular season, Rocket Richard, everything that goes with it. And he's done it year after year after year after year. In his 20th year, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So can Connor McDavid continue to show his brilliance? No question he can. But to get into that top 5, that's going to take some significant accomplishments for Connor McDavid to unseat any one of those 5.
Yeah, it's about longevity at this point, because I don't think he can catch Gretzky or Lemieux. I think those two are gone based on what they've done at the same position that he plays, and the staggering numbers they put up and how competitive they were and what they did with their franchises and how much they won. Bobby Orr is a unique case because it was such a short career, but the position he played, the numbers are absolutely staggering. He absolutely changed the game. And Gordie Howe's the opposite because of how long he played and how iconic he was. But I'd like to believe he can break that top 4. And I think it would be in the best interest of the sport for that to be the case, because I don't think you want it so locked in where a guy of McDavid's stature, where he's about to hit 1,000 points, he's still in his prime. He's still going to be, I believe, the best player in this league for at least another 5 or 6 years, maybe more than that, because of how well he skates and how well he plays and how well he thinks the game. You look at the other big 4 sports leagues. Mahomes pushing for that right now in the NFL. Ohtani's pushing for that in Major League Baseball. LeBron James pushing for that in the NBA. I don't think it's a good thing for the game where we are just set on 4 guys, maybe 5. And I agree with everything you just said, Craig, about Sid. I think Sid gets actually undervalued now ever since McDavid arrived because of how great he's been and how consistent he's been. But let's not forget what's been taken away from McDavid. No ability to play international hockey. That's not his fault. The league and the sport robbed him of that. And he'll get that opportunity with the 4 Nations Cup and again into the Olympics. And I believe 4 or 5 years from now, he'll still be a stud when they go back into the Olympic Games in 2030. But this guy's numbers are so staggering. And if he can play for 20, 22, 24 years, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility with sports science in this era, he should have the ability to crack that top 4.
Elephant in the room, Stanley Cups. Every one of the greats ahead of McDavid played in a league with fewer teams. How much does playing in a league with 32 teams change the need for Stanley Cup titles in terms of measuring greatness? Hayes?
I think it's imperative you win one, but I think one is worth more than winning one in the original 6. I mean, that's just simply math, right? With all due respect to all those great players that played prior to 1967 and won cups, and even just into the early stages of expansion when teams were winning cups, and obviously the league was really weighted one way over the other. But I think it's imperative, if you're going to be an all-time great player, you have to win. McDavid has to win. He cannot get to the end of this and not have a Stanley Cup on his resume. It has to happen. I just referenced Shohei Ohtani. For Ohtani to be in that conversation, he had to change teams. He had to get one. He just got one. That applies to McDavid. But I think winning one in a 32-team league, it could be 34, it could be 36 teams by the time he retires, that should be valued more than winning in a 21-team league or a 12-team league or a 6-team league. He needs one. It has to happen. And if and when he does that, I think it should be weighted differently. And I think that applies to Crosby as well. Sid did it with a lot of teams in the league. And obviously that benefits him and his resume greatly too.
Brian, your phrase, all-time great. If you're going to be an all-time great, it's not just about your individual accomplishments. It's what you were able to do to lead your team to the ultimate success, which is championships. And whether that be Stanley Cup, whether that be gold medals in international competition, that's the next barrier for Connor McDavid. And you're not in that top 5 unless you accomplish something significant with respect to winning a big, significant championship.
For perspective, McDavid is 27 this year. By the time he was 27, the great one had already won his fourth and final Stanley Cup.